Hello friends, James Owen Brown here. Welcome to another round of the Innsmouth Case. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Just have to share my link and then we can get started. If you haven't watched the last one, I don't think it's going to matter too much, and I'll catch you up with some of the decisions that got made. Sorry, I'm just sharing the link here. The Innsmouth Case 2. Link in comments. Post. And paste. There we go. Okay, so we're kind of a film noir situation. We're like a detective, and it's basically a choose-your-own-adventure set in the Innsmouth Cthulhu, H.P. Lovecraft mythology. So let's dive in. The last rays of sunshine filter through the blinds of your empty office. The pathetic stench of whiskey, cold cigarette smoke, and canned ravioli fills the air. The screeching tires and constant beeping of car horns out there on the street tell you that it's gone 8 p.m. People are on their way home, finishing their day. You should join them. Now, last time I opted to go home, so this time I'm going to stay at my desk. If you watched the last one, you know it didn't end up so well for me, and if you haven't watched it yet, you should check it out because it ended up being pretty funny. And I got rocked. Your day was long and frustrating. You're running out of ideas on how to handle the calls of people who want money from you. A cold shiver runs down your spine as you flick through a pile of unpaid bills. On the top of the pile is a reminder from your landlady. You're 2 months behind on the rent. The next one is a 3-figure invoice from a games company for in-app purchases. You tried to claim them as business expenses in your last investigation, but somehow your client refused to pay. What? How's the client not going to pay for the in-app purchases? I need those purchases to be on the train. Traveling back and forth? Then there's the second reminder from your internet provider threatening to cut off your connection. You might take legal action because without the internet you can't work or live. You can't do any of those things. You really need more in-app purchases, your lawyer, a cigarette, a little fresh air. That's a tough one. Charlie Dog is all up in my business here. I don't know if you can hear him, but he's trying to give me kisses. Oh, come on, buddy. Given that it's a stressful situation, I think we'll let the man have a cigarette. Because that's funny. In-app purchases is funny too, but I have a feeling none of this matters. Can you just lay down, please? There we go. Yeah, we'll do a cigarette. You're toying with the idea of a cigarette when you catch a glimpse of the unpaid bill from your doctor. Maybe you don't need a smoke after all. That's fair. You breathe a deep sigh. It may or may not have been a successful day. It may not have been a successful day, but at least it's over. You're looking forward to a classic Friday night watching old mystery series at home in sweatpants and getting drunk on cheap booze. Since the early afternoon, you've been staring at the foreboding bottle of liquor at the other end of the room. Up until now, a vague sense of professionalism has kept you from drinking yourself into oblivion. Now nothing stands in your way. Now this was a concern that I had, and I talked off camera with my wife about what one fear I had for this game was. So the last time I left the office, I didn't stay, I headed home, and basically the exact same thing happened. I kind of lingered there until there was a knock at the door, so it seems like you have the illusion of choice, but it's not promising that you actually have real, genuine choice so far. It's not looking good, because you eventually just get to the same situation. You hear someone at the door say, "Who is it?" or don't make a sound. Last time I said, "Who is it?" This time I'm going to not make a sound. See if they go away. You freeze and hold your breath. No, 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 nobody will ruin your well-deserved evening. You're as quiet as a mouse. You listen intently. The woman just outside the door knocks again. Pesky clients. I can see you through the window. So I can either pretend to be a statue or give up and let her in. I'm going to pretend to be a statue. Let's see what happens. This is messing with your evening's well-deserved relaxation. You're still not moving, so with a little luck, the stranger will give up and leave you alone. You hear the doorknob twist. I have to get up. I can hear Charlie Dog eating a bag or something. Give me that bag. Give me that bag. And then she's got a bag and chewing. You keep it up, you're going to go in the crate. Alright, so the doorknob is twisting. This lady's coming in. She has no abs. The doorknob twists. The door handle is moving. You probably should have locked it. That's fair. Say who is it or hide under the desk. I'm going to continue to hide and be a jerk. Not on your watch. With cat-like reflexes and a speed you usually only reserve for eating chocolate cake, you dive under the desk. Your nose presses against the worn office carpet. You really should clean up at some point. You hear someone enter the office. If you're trying to hide from your clients, you should make sure that your big butt isn't sticking out of your hiding place, idiot. You hear her walk away. The door slams shut. She's gone. You did it. Not only can you finally go home, but you also found some small change in a half-empty tobacco pouch under the table. Today wasn't so bad after all. You look out of the window at the parking lot. A glamorous woman gets into a rental car and drives out of the parking lot at full throttle. You wonder what she wanted. Whatever it was, it'll have to wait until Monday. Finally, you're stretched out on your couch. A black and white mystery series flickers on the TV. Your blood alcohol level has reached that pleasant point beyond no longer able to drive, but still well before everything that went in has to come out again. Next episode, the TV asks rhetorically. Sure, go ahead. Next episode, to serve men, you sigh. If only the supernatural would knock at your door. You sure as hell wouldn't miss that opportunity. Did I blow it? Is the whole mission over? Let's call it a day. You reject the mission. I have no option. Looks like what's happening here? Are these chapters? Did I lose? Yeah, okay. I've lost. Main menu. Okay, that's kind of cool. So you can just ignore it. That's a different path for sure. We'll just start a new game here. That was a little bit terrible. I didn't expect it to just end like that and be done. Blah blah blah. Saving. Friends, I hope you guys are well. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that yet. Check out some of the other stuff that's around. Blah blah, rays of light. I should go home. I'm going to stay at my desk. Can't handle all my bills. Blah blah blah. Instead of a cigarette this time, I'm going to... Let's do more in-app purchases because that's funny. You remember during a particularly boring case you started playing that game with the colorful candy. You made it to level 671, but not without the help of extra bombs for which you paid a lot of money. You can't remember why you bought them, but it seemed damn important at the time. You breathe a deep sigh. It may not have been a successful day, but at least it's over. You're looking forward to a classic Friday night watching old mystery series at home in sweatpants and getting drunk on cheap booze. Since the early afternoon, you've been staring at the foreboding bottle of liquor at the other end of the room. Up until now, a vague sense of professionalism has kept you from drinking yourself into oblivion. Now nothing stands in your way. Suddenly, someone's at the door. Who is it? The door slowly cracks open with a timid creak. The unknown guest pauses. Then, in a breathy and melodic tone, you hear a woman utter, "Hello?" Your insides cramp. You suddenly realize that you haven't cleaned your office at all this year. You quickly try to clean up or invite her in. Last time I just invited her in, so I will quickly clean up. Wait a minute. Wait, you shout in a pitch that is at least 2 octaves higher than intended. There's no time to pick up all the crumpled pieces of paper on the floor. You gaze across the total mess on your desk. A weird, undefinable crust has formed on the wood. That's disgusting. You've never noticed that before. You try to hide it by putting some unpaid bills over them, and they get stuck immediately. Nice. There she is. So in the last playthrough, I did my best to reject her advances. She was a little bit flirty, and I was all business. So this time we're going to see what happens. I'm going to flirt it up now that I've seen what happens if I just straight up ghost her. By the light of the desk lamp, you now see more than a silhouette. A breathtaking woman lights up your office, no doubt older than 40, maybe even 50, hard to say. Clad in black, a skin-tight dress culminating in a décolleté that seems to defy the laws of gravity. A smoky eyeshadow as dark as algae washed ashore, blonde, coiffed, wavy hair under a dark beret. The faint light of setting sun catches in the strands of her hair, and you wonder how many heads this woman must have turned during her prime. Friends, if you want to leave a comment, please do so. If you want to have your input heard, I have turned on the creepy computer voice lady who will try and read your comment out loud, and she'll inevitably butcher it, but it's hilarious when she does. So she's completely different from your usual customers. Nervous bankers with sweat stains under their armpits convince their wives have something going with the mailman. Every move she makes is calculated grace. Smooth as an eel, she walks towards you and sits down on the corner of your desk. Determined, she walks towards you and sits down on the corner of your desk, which is a little bold, which makes you blush. Last time it made me blush, this time it can be a little bold. Which is a little bold, without asking you first, but as a professional, you're not giving anything away. She seems to want to play the seductive damsel in distress. The quiet, amused voice of your subconscious is pleased that this stranger may be sharing your enthusiasm for film noir cliches. A far louder voice is surprised that this woman seems to think that a sexy pose and revealing clothes would win you over, and both voices agree that they don't like being manipulated. You don't think that the stranger perched on your table is trying to recover from a hard working day as a lingerie model, and therefore you see no logical reason for her behavior. When she begins to speak, her voice is smoky and full of promise. My name is Dahlia Marsh. I'm looking for a private investigator. I was told that you are one of the best. She extends her hand. I can kiss her hand, tell her she's come to the right place, decline. Of course I will find your missing daughter. I'm going to kiss her hand. I'm going to be saucy. You kiss her hand and waggle your eyebrows in the same manner you've seen so often in those classic movies. This woman moves in higher circles and is used to luxury. You can tell by the strong smell of caviar she gives off. Like fish eggs? She smells like fish eggs? If you play this right, you might even be able to increase the fee for this case. Okay, that'd be alright. What now? I'm going to keep flirting. Nothing is quite as attractive as a heroic private investigator, you think to yourself, while at the same time secretly trying to remove a piece of spinach lodged between your teeth. What's a smart lady like you doing in a disgusting office like this? This is your office, Dahlia replies, bemused. You smile and nod slowly. Damn, you should change the subject quickly. And now, take her out for dinner or pay her a compliment. She's here to talk about business, so why would I just take her for dinner immediately? I give her a compliment. You lean forward and look deep into her eyes. You compliment her on her eyes or her dress. Let's go with the eyes. You lean forward. Your visitor looks at you expectantly. Ma'am, if you don't mind me saying, you have the most beguiling eyes that I've ever had the fortune to look into. I can't get enough of them. Dahlia absent-mindedly touches her cheek, a smile pulling around the corners of her mouth. Okay, she's into it. Not bad. Go on about her eyes. Go for the jugular. I'm not sure what that means. I don't want to keep prattling on about her eyes, though. I assume go for the jugular is like make a move, not slash her jugular vein in my office. Let's go with that one either way. Either way, that's entertaining. You get up and walk around your table without letting her out of your sight for a second. The woman looks at the door tentatively, then back at you. She touches a strand of her hair and tucks it behind her ear, which could be like a good sign or it could be a nervous tick. You take her hand into yours and say suggestively, "True beauty," or $1,000 a day plus expenses. I'm gonna keep flirting. "For I ne'er saw true beauty till this night," you whisper in her ear. She giggles. "Oh, you. What happens next is a different story, and we won't go into it here. You know what happened. After all, you were there." "So did we smush? Me and the lady? Me and the lady smushed." That's very different than what happened last time. That's all right. Little Romeo and Juliet reference there. That's nice. When you wake up in your bed the next day, your hair tousled, Dahlia is gone. All that remains is an empty bottle of red wine, 2 opened frozen pizzas, and a still warm blanket or video game console. Wow. Hey, we got a trophy for that one called One Night Stand. That makes sense. Doesn't seem like we played video games. I'm gonna go with a blanket. It was a dark and stormy night. The rain fell in torrents. On your bedside table, you find an envelope marked expenses and a photo of a strange-looking girl along with a handwritten note explaining your mission. Dahlia's little daughter has disappeared and you're supposed to find her. An address for you to deliver her to is also cited. Nothing unusual here, a common case of a little girl running away from home after reading her first romance novel. Usually they hide at the edge of the forest or in a library. Should be an easy case. You don't have much time to prepare. A quick search reveals that only one bus goes to Innsmouth, and only once a day. A pattern emerges in your research. A few news items related to this little coastal town are all about missing persons. In addition, you find some rather old-fashioned articles that praise the coastal town as a secret holiday destination. The best fish, untouched beach promenade, authentic fishing people are the recurring buzzwords. Authentic fishing people? What does that mean? I don't have any idea what that means. Dahlia has given you the address at which you're supposed to drop off her daughter as soon as you find her. She also wrote down her phone number on the child's photo. You take another look at the picture before you pack your things. Alright. The next morning you travel by bus or by hitchhiking? Oh man. I don't know. It could be fun to hitchhike, but I don't know. I think we'll hitchhike. Hitchhiking seems like it'd be fun. A fun adventure. Your fingers gently stroke the banknotes inside your coat as you leave your apartment at dawn. Only over your dead body will you waste this money for actual expenses. You've never had good experience with public transportation, so you've decided to give hitchhiking a go. At this time, you usually still roll around in bed restlessly for another 2 hours or so. You are at the Park and Ride area, which is located at an intersection of 2 country roads. This is where students and low-income earners meet to share fuel costs of a long trip, and you often see nomads and vagabonds trying to catch a free ride. You're confident you won't be put in the last category, at least not today. Low clouds hang in the Boston sky. The air is gray, cold, and wet, and the progress of your mission depends on the charity and compassion of strangers. Your mood is Miserable or optimistic? I'm optimistic. I think we're going to find a ride. I've just had sex. Like, we're doing okay. We got some money in the envelope. You got a good feeling about this. The secret is to make a good impression so as not to scare away any potential opportunities. It's best to hide your true character until you're in the car. This is definitely going to work, you confidently say out loud. People close to you give you some worried looks. A little girl whose family has just parked their fully loaded van points wordlessly at you. Her mother takes note of you and turns up her mouth. Look, Mum, a poor person. The little one finally delivers her verdict cheerfully. Wow, rude. Rude. Poor? That's really an exaggeration of the facts, and on top of that, rude. Explain to the little girl the difference between being poor and being a freelancer. Threaten to beat her up or ignore her. I'm just going to ignore the little girl. She doesn't know. Kids. Kids do not understand the complexity of adult life. The sacrifices one has to make for an exciting life as a not very successful private detective. Soon the child loses interest in you and runs back to her parents. See, if you engage, they're just going to come back and it's going to be more and more. It's time to consider the options. 3 other hitchhikers have positioned themselves at the exit of the parking lot. A student couple and a punk with a towel around his shoulders. Every now and then a car stops and the driver winds down the windshield to have a few words with them. I either join them or position myself somewhere further apart from them. Yeah, I don't want to be really near them. I'll just go kind of hover in the vicinity. It will harm your chances as a hitchhiker if you stand too close to those people. You say to yourself while you keep your It will harm your chances as a hitchhiker if you stand too close to those people who say to yourself, while you keep your distance. Got it. The other people would just occupy the seats that you're after. Time to get to business. You stand at the edge of the exit of the parking lot and stick out your thumb like a hitchhiker. Just act normal. Throw yourself into a provocative pose. That's tempting, but I think I'll just put my thumb out like a normal person. You decide to just stand there harmlessly with your briefcase by your side and point your thumb towards the exit. Classic hitchhiker style. When you're already starting to ask yourself whether you look like someone who works for the tax man or like some sort of hitman, a car comes to a stop next to you. You get goosebumps. All of a sudden your mouth is completely dry. It's a wood-paneled station wagon. The window is rolled down and a hand appears. You can't see the driver in the dark of the car. The hand beckons you over. Say hello or escape. Well, I'm trying to get a ride. What am I going to escape from? Plus a wood-paneled station wagon? I'm in. You approach the car and start talking. Hello? I'm on my way to Innsmouth. A middle-aged man with thinning hair, horn-rimmed glasses, and a mustache leans out the window. In front of your mind's eye, you go through your signs of a serial killer checklist. One of his pupils seems to be wandering off to the left while the other is fixed on you. His hand now moves over his steering wheel as if to stroke it. Oh man, look at that guy, he's creepy AF. You can ride with me, he whispers. You can ride with me. You can ride with me. Get in or politely refuse. And he's got wonky eyes and stuff. I need a ride though. I'm gonna get in. Thank you. You ignore all the warning signs known from movies and television and get into the station wagon with a queasy feeling. Is this really better than the bus? You walk around the car and its owner opens the passenger door. When you drop into the seat, you notice a weird smell. So he got out and came and opened the door for me? That's the weirdest thing yet. That creeps me out more than his wonky eyes. That must be detergent. At least there's proper hygiene. Haha. An alarm goes off in your reptile brain. Hank, the driver mumbles and steps on the gas pedal. With a jerk, the car starts moving. The back of your head is abruptly pressed into the headrest. I feel like that detergent could be like a bleach situation. You think about what to say. In a bit of a hurry, are you? What brings you to Innsmouth? Simply sit out the ride in silence. I would probably sit it out in silence, if I'm honest. Enough. This ride has become just a little bit too weird for you, and not in the fun way. You rest your head against the passenger window and watch the countryside rush past you. The car passes small towns and woods and fields. Maybe you're imagining things, but the whole world seems to be getting grayer, even though there are only a few clouds in the sky. Hank has gone very quiet. He drives at a steady pace along the country road, getting closer and closer to Innsmouth. So far so good. We're doing okay with Hank. At some point the vehicle leaves the country road and turns near a wooden sign. It says Innsmouth written in big red letters, which are slowly peeling off the sign. Your journey continues along a narrow and bumpy country lane with lots of potholes. In the distance, you can already make out a few houses. Seagulls are circling the roofs of the far side of the coastal town. You approach another wooden sign with the words "Cars on Diversion" scrawled on it messily. An arrow underneath points to the right. The sign points away from the route that leads directly to Innsmouth, presumably a diversion. You are sure that the other board directly underneath with the words "other routes" actually points in the direction leading you. You are sure that the other board directly underneath with the words "other routes" actually points in the direction leading directly to town. Odd. Hank is already indicating and wants to turn into the diversion lane. Don't get involved or ask him to follow the other route sign. I'm going to ask him to follow. I just want to get to Innsmouth. You'd rather not follow the diversion. Can we just continue straight ahead? We're nearly there anyway. Without looking at you, he says no. Oh. Hank follows the signage, but at the end makes a big turn and approaches a few houses at the edge of town. He parks the car next to a dilapidated building. Or is it a building site? Hard to tell. You deal with the finances quickly without taking his eyes off the steering wheel. Hank holds out his hand to you. In it you place a sweet, a tenner, or your hand. I thought hitchhiking, like I'm giving this guy, I guess I give him some cash for gas, but I just don't want any problems with this wonky-eyed guy. Hank licks his lips. He nods. You take this as your signal to leave. Leave very quickly indeed. You've made it. You should be proud of yourself. You've survived a car ride with a potentially dangerous lunatic without any major psychological damage. A thorough success. If the rest of the day goes the same, you'll solve this case in no time. With quick steps, you make your way into the town center in the direction of the coastline. Not long ago, the sun was bright in the sky, but already the first wafts of mist are creeping into the streets. The air feels heavier and the sun can no longer penetrate the fog. Time to think about where you want to go. You slow down. Leaning your briefcase against a wall, you start pacing along a quiet alleyway. You've got an important choice to make right now. The city center is in the north. Even from afar, you can see the outlines of the old and ornately decorated buildings in the main town square. Here you should find the police station, the main shopping street, and of course the town hall. As a coastal town, Innsmouth of course also has a harbor. During your research, you found out that this is a busy area which includes a dreamy beach. You expect there to be mostly tourists. The old town, according to your research, has the only hotel in town, the Gilman Hotel. You could decide to check in and freshen up. Just when you want to set off, your heart leaps into your throat. Where a moment ago your briefcase was leaning against a wall, now is nothing. Disturbed, you walk up and down the street, peer into alleyways and over a fence, but there is no one in sight. Did you actually bring your briefcase and put it down here? Or are you going mad? At least you can take comfort in the idea that the thief will be surprised by what he will find when he opens the briefcase. Quite a lot of pieces of paper with phone numbers but no names, sweets, or scrunched up underwear. I don't know why you would have any of those items in your briefcase, but I guess we'll go with sweets. You think you can cope with the loss of your briefcase. Lucky that you didn't take anything actually useful or valuable on your trip. You check the alley one last time. Apart from a pair of moving curtains on one of the windows, you don't notice any clues that could lead you to the culprit. It doesn't matter now. It's important that you keep moving. There are only a few hours left until the sun goes down. First thing you visit is the city center in the north, the hotel in the south, the harbor in the east. Last time I went to the hotel. This time I'm going to the city center. Stop that. Friends, again, please subscribe to the channel if you have yet to do so. Check out our sponsor, www.420dna.com, because if it's in you, it should be on you, just like it's always on me for all your subtle 420 apparel needs. The Innsmouth Town Square, the beating heart of the city, a big attraction for local tourism. It is animated by groups of visitors who are chatting away in the sun. A lot less animated are the lethargic locals who are lurching about the square. A rather creepy-looking fountain is in the middle of the square. A gigantic fish-like stone statue stretches its claws towards the sky with water flowing out of its menacing jaw. The water sprays into the air, providing a refreshing breeze to the tourists sitting around the edge of the fountain. Looking at it closely now, it all rather looks like a giant drooling fish monster. The square is surrounded by handsome old buildings, although the side streets reveal the true Innsmouth, crumbling facades just far enough away that the average tourist doesn't notice them immediately. You also notice the mean grimaces of gargoyles sternly looking down onto the visitors from the corners of their buildings. You make a mental note to block out the Innsmouth architecture in future. At first glance, you can see the town hall and a police station behind the fountain. There should be a few more public facilities nearby, but you don't notice anything right away. Go to the fountain, go to the town hall, go to the police station, or scope out the surroundings. I guess if I'm trying to find the girl, maybe the police station, but I kind of want to check out this fountain a bit more. Pretty relaxed vibe here, so you decide to go over to the tourists. There's lots of space on the edge of the fountain which people use to sit down. They are stretching their legs, eating their packed lunches, or studying maps of the town. The perfect place to let go and relax. You sit down somewhere quiet or close to the other tourists. Now, I don't know, should I ask the tourists about the missing girl? They probably don't know. I guess I'll sit somewhere quiet, take it in for a minute. The trip over here has exposed you to enough weird people, and you can do without carbon-based life forms for a while. You sit down on the fountain edge off to the side from the other visitors and let your mind roam. How is it possible that a girl can simply vanish in a tiny place like this? If she's run away from home, where would she have found shelter, and where would she get her food from? Has she been kidnapped after all? And isn't it normally cute children that get kidnapped? Something brings you back to the real world. A rather shaggy-looking older man on crutches rattles a paper cup in front of your face. He smiles, revealing his rotting teeth. Give him some coins or shoo him away. I'll give him some coins, I guess. The old man looks worn down. The old man looks so worn down that it breaks your heart. You search for coins in your trouser pocket and find some coins. He smiles gratefully when you drop the money into his cup. The beggar looks around furtively and then leans over to whisper something in your ear. You should leave. Oh. Slightly dazed by the smell of alcohol on the man's breath, you lean back and watch him shuffle off. Did you hear that right? You should leave? The nerve of it. You're glad to see the back of this drunkard. You look over to the dark alleyways across the square, and you repeatedly notice shady figures with bloated faces who keep looking at you and the tourists. You start to feel uneasy again. Here in the middle of the square at the fountain, it's like you're all sitting ducks. The sun that was so warm in your face suddenly disappears and is replaced by a grayish silhouette. Without noticing them beforehand, two men have approached you. They smile nervously and appear to be presenting you with a book. Your insides clench up and your fingers dig into the stone of the fountain. You know this kind of smile. They are lawyers, mole people, or religious fanatics. Let's go religious fanatics, because those people are hilarious. Religious fanatics. The kind that gets you out of bed on Sunday mornings and force you to put clothes on to answer the door. You've tried to chase them away, curse them, and wish eternal damnation on them so many times, but now they've found you, here in Innsmouth, with the sole purpose of ruining your weekend. They stand in front of you with a strange smile. Bare your teeth, ask them what they want. I don't want to bare my teeth, that's bizarre. What do you want, you hiss? Here's the thing, you usually know when you're being a bit of a brat, and you'd certainly count this interaction, which is why it's a bit disconcerting that the two of them all of a sudden look at one another excitedly. That's when it suddenly hits you. You just asked them to talk. You've given them exactly what they were after. Should have just showed my teeth. That's how you gotta deal with these religious nut jobs. The blonde one starts to talk while his partner hovers in the background and breathes heavily. He holds up a book. The green cover has a delicate golden arabesque pattern that reminds you of something. Do you have time to speak about Dagon, our Lord and Savior? He puts on his best salesman smile. Dagon? I'm looking for this girl, you see. Dagon. Don't I know this name from the TV? Maybe they can help me find the girl. Don't they have to do whatever I want or whatever? Isn't that a thing? You see, I'm looking for this girl. You pull out the Polaroid photo from you coat pocket and show it to them. Their polite demeanor immediately vanishes, and you think you can see wariness creep into their faces. Slowly they turn their heads towards each other and then nod, just as if you weren't standing right in front of them. If you need help, you can always rely on the Church of Dagon. The man hands you a small white card with an address in the harbor engraved on it. You study the card and you can feel the textured surface under your thumb. Not bad. The two say their goodbyes. For two religious nutters, they seem to be very keen all of a sudden. They definitely have something to do with this missing girl. Interesting. The Church of Dagon is the predominant religion in this otherwise God-forsaken town, an exotic cult in a remote and secluded community. You're not quite sure what to make of it yet, but for now you consider the two to be harmless. Do I? Okay, enough time wasted. Where are you headed now? Enter City Hall, enter the police station, scope out the surroundings, go to the Church of Dagon in the harbor. I'm gonna enter the police station. Maybe they have some info. You enter the precinct and find yourself in a small foyer. The counter separates visitors from the actual office of the police officers on duty. It's standard practice observed even in a cranky little town like Innsmouth. A chilly, not particularly inviting old building with only a single narrow window on the northernmost wall. The room is bathed in a yellowish light, but rather than a warming glow, it's much more like warm sick. Yellowed wallpaper is about to come loose from the walls, probably a process that has been ongoing for years, the exciting finale of which you can witness today. Almost every one of the poisonous green tiles on the floor has cracks or other small damage. A policeman is on reception desk duty. He looks at you through dull eyes. The police station gives off the same lethargic vibe that you've come to expect from Innsmouth by now, but who knows? Maybe they can help you anyway. Look around or talk to the guard personnel. And we'll talk to him. Okay, get down to the point. The life of a little girl is in danger. The wooden floorboards creak under your shoes as you approach the cop. They sound like moaning of an audience somewhere in the distance, commenting on a display of epic stupidity. The cop on duty has been watching you intently ever since you entered the room. He clears his throat before talking to you. So you want to file a missing persons report? That's why I'm here. No, why would you assume that? Shouldn't... Like, why would I be the one to file the report? I didn't ask why he would assume that. The cop seems briefly surprised. Well, it's just what most tourists... He stops himself mid-sentence. Okay, that's sus. That's mad sus. All of a sudden, the papers in front of him have become super important, and he starts making neat piles that are perfectly perpendicular to the pen and ruler. It's pure zen to behold. When he's done, he returns his attention to you. What do you want? Is this not the library? Mention the beggar, say your goodbyes. Why are there so many people reported missing here? Yeah, why are there so many people reported missing? He stares at his newly arranged desk and adjusts the objects even more. Only an electron microscope could now show any inaccuracies still present in this arrangement. Then, all of a sudden, the cop gets up, murmurs, "Lunch break," and disappears into the back office. Question time appears to be over. You're now all alone in the foyer of the police station. Leave, look around, look through the policeman's papers. You know what? Let's do it. Let's take a chance. A quick look to the left and right, no one in sight. You grasp this opportunity to inspect the desk. You notice your heart beating loudly in your chest. You start rooting through the cop's papers, but sadly you can't find anything apart from crossed-out tic-tac-toe games and amateur doodles. A worrying amount of people are strung up on gallows. He's definitely not made any recent notes that you'd consider useful. Why did the man have 18 cucumbers on his shopping list? Disappointed, you step away from the desk. You keep looking around. Initially, upon inspection, the foyer doesn't reveal anything new. Behind the entrance door, in a blind spot, you notice a yellowed poster with the slogan, "Bouncer the police dog says, paws off the drugs." Underneath, there's a faded drawing of a dog riding a unicorn over a rainbow. You can't help thinking that the poster has a contradictory message. You look up at the ceiling and notice a CCTV camera you hadn't spotted when you entered the station. Oh, good. Normally you'd expect this in a police station, but this is the first object in the room fabricated after the turn of the century. Lucky for you, you noticed the camera before doing anything stupid. Oh, wait. From the room next door, you can make out some sort of commotion, rustling and voices, and then suddenly a door opens. Several cops enter the room. All eyes trained on you. I can explain this, or I can run. I feel like I'm not going to escape if I run. I'll just explain. I can explain, you say, and preemptively raise your hands, although no gun is being pointed at you. Your intuition is, you have to admit, usually pretty useless, but something's stirring right now, and all signs point to danger. These people are not here to help you. They're watching you and trying to trip you up. The cop you were talking to earlier has dropped his apathetic facade. He now reminds you of a shark circling a broken shark cage with you inside the cage. "Oh, really? Go ahead, sunshine," he says with a malicious grin. "What were you doing just now? Obtaining unauthorized access to police documents is a crime." "Thought this was the way to the restroom. Need to find a missing girl. Admiring your drawings." Flattery, maybe? But I do need to find this girl. Need to find a missing girl. No reaction. The cops exchange glances and then collectively start laughing out loud, the kind of scornful, derisive laughter that spells trouble. As if reacting to some sort of silent signal, they all start moving again and start surrounding you like a pack of hyenas. The undertrained part of your brain responsible for logical thinking starts worrying. Are these policemen actually making fun of you? Are they in on the whole thing? Before you can pursue this line of thought, something hits the back of your head. Oh my god. Are you kidding me? I suck at this game. Your head is pounding and you feel numb and lethargic. You fade in and out of consciousness. Memories visit you, pleasant ones that hail from better times. Then you return to reality. Reality is not at all attractive. When you open your eyes, a flickering source of light blinds you. You carefully stretch your arms and legs, still unsure of where on earth you are. Are you dead? No, your gaze wanders over the metal bars and a stone wall into which those who came before you have carved messages. You are lying in a cell, although the word cell doesn't quite capture it. These are more like cages, which are separated only by thin metal bars. No cot, no toilet. Damn it, they didn't even give you a bucket. Someone must have given you a good beating. From your scraped cheeks and hands, you deduce that you were dragged here afterwards. In the cell to your right is a woman with her back against the wall. To your left, an unconscious young man with disheveled hair lying face down. Look around the dark cell, inspect your surroundings, talk to the woman, talk to the man. Well, the other people, I don't know, I don't want to deal with them. I'm going to inspect my surroundings. You get up and you knock the dust off your coat. A quick rummage through your pockets confirms your worry. All your belongings were taken before you were incarcerated here. Your cell neighbor pays no attention to you. She sits on the cold floor with her knees bent, her arms wrapped around her legs, her gaze directed stoically into the distance. What is she looking at? Ah, the only door leading out of this crypt. Even if you magically managed to open your cell door, you'd still have to overcome this metal door. You squint your eyes to get a better overview of the situation. The door has a narrow slit at eye level through which light falls into your prison. You think you may be hearing distant voices, but maybe you're just imagining that. Let's talk to the lady. Hey, given the circumstances, no one can expect of you to come up with something more creative. She turns towards you with a sigh. Slept well? You rub your cheek. Big mistake. Your head feels like one big bruise. Explain your situation and who are you? I'll explain my situation. This is completely insane. They got me, you begin, but she interrupts you. You are innocent. The police or a bunch of lunatics got you on some pretext. You've either been stupid enough to come here on holiday, or you're one of the detectives. One of the detectives? What? How do you know? She rolls her eyes. Have you still not figured it out? There is no missing girl. A desperate father or a worried mother shows up somewhere asking for help. That's how they lure people here, like me, for example. A brief smile on her lips. It's so simple, so efficient. Who are you? You blurt out. That question could have been phrased a bit more elegantly, but this is perhaps not the time for formalities. Kate, my pleasure, the woman replied monotonously. I am here for the exact same reason as you, I suppose. She listlessly starts imitating a falsetto voice. My little girl is missing. I'm so worried. An accurate portrayal of Dahlia. You have to give her that. And this, she nods towards the peacefully slumbering surfer dude, is Lonnie, who is here on vacation. She laughs softly. What's going to happen to us now is... what's going to happen to us now is on of the many... There's so many spelling mistakes in this game. That's the third one I found. That's bad. Like, it's bad. No editing here. What's going to happen to us now is one of the many questions in your mind right now. At least it's in the top 3 of all your questions. In addition to, how can a degenerate man from Innsmouth knock you out so easily? And would the telekinetically gifted evil mutant twin in this horror movie from the 80s have become much nicer had his parents not baptized him Belial but Steve. Yeah. The woman frowns at you. How the hell should I know? She looks away from you and, as before, stares at the metal door at the end of the room. Then there are scrambling, rattling sounds. The door is being opened, but I guess we're about to find out. Hard to tell which is worse, the squeaking sound of the rusty hinges or the light flooding the basement room and blinding your eyes. A figure approaches. It takes your eyes a few seconds to adjust, and you take in who is standing. A figure approaches. It takes your eyes a few seconds to adjust and take in who is standing in front of you. It's a cop, and he's not alone. The policeman looks down at you with a condescending grin. Then he fumbles with the lock on your cell. From the corner of your eye, you can see that more visitors are entering the cell room. They seem less amused by the situation. Chewing on their bulging lower lips, they keep an eye on you and the other two. In their hands they hold burlap bags? I hope I didn't keep you waiting for too long, the cop says in a chatty tone. I wouldn't want visitors to get a bad impression of Innsmouth. He opens the cell and grins at you. And you're coming with us now. Play along or attack? I feel like I'm not going to get anywhere if I attack, so... It's 3, no,